So this started as a simple Frigate test and ended with me taking a deep dive into TensorRT builds, broken RTSP streams, 100 simulated cameras streaming through a GPU. It's been a long road. Let's get into it. I'm very tired.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Howdy folks, I'm Zack Perry, back here with 45 Home Lab. Today, we're gonna just see how far we can really push Frigate. Frigate, it's an open source NVR, uses AI object detection to keep an eye on your world. So for those unfamiliar, Frigate is designed to process real-time camera feeds using motion detection like AI models that can run on a CPU, GPU, Coral TPU. But what happens when we throw 100 simulated camera streams at it? Let's find out. In the last video, just a refresher on the hardware that we're going to be using for today. We had our HL15 2.0, which has an AMD EPYC 7452, 128 gigs of RAM, an NVIDIA RTX 4060, dual 10 gig NICs, and a ZFS pool that has 10 18 terabyte Seagate Exos running a RAID Z2. Then we have our Simulatinator.
Are you kidding me?
Which is going to be running our RTSP streams. And so what we did is we took a wired 10 gig connection, directly connected between the two of them, because I initially ran into issues because all of those streams through a 2.5 gig link didn't really work. So now they're 10 gig in a real world deployment. Each camera is going to probably be going through a different switch port or PoE injector. So we wanted to reflect that and didn't want our network to be the bottleneck. So here's how things are going to flow in today's experiment. I gathered 15 video files of various resolutions and formats, mostly 4K or 60 FPS, re-encoded them at 30 FPS, 1080p, then duplicated them into a pool of 100 individual files, cam 1 through cam 100. Some repeats, but they're all the individual RTSP streams. So next, we loaded them onto the Simulatinator. We used a Docker Compose file, so that is going to be our media RTX. So let's just check that out on our Simulatinator here. So then we'll add the script that I, and definitely not an AI, that runs with ChatGPT set up to create X number of streams. So that is called our just start_cams.sh. So we used a simple bash script to automate the stream creation. Here's what it does. First, it sets our paths. Then it is going into setting a directory stream for RTSP, user input, to simulate 1 from 100 camera streams. It's using FFmpeg to process before launching any new videos. It'll kill the old ones, and then our loop setup. So for each X camera, it launches 2 RTSP streams, a high-res stream for recording and snapshots, and a low-res stream for object detection. And Frigate's going to use low-res streams for real-time detection and the high-res streams for recording, event snapshots, and it helps keeps inference fast and storage usage efficient. So let's give this a run here, and we'll start off with 10, or let's say 5. So we're going to do bash, and we'll do start, if I can spell properly, so startcams_bash. We can see here it's going to ask for 1 to 100. So let's start with 5, just to be nice and simple here. There we go. We can see that it's loaded up 5 cameras, and each one of them has a high res and a low res. Now, if we go into top here, and there we go. We can see we have a few camera streams in our top output. So now what we're ready to do is go over to our HL15, and we can actually go to cd/etsy/frigate. There we go. And we'll have quite a few things here, but only a few are going to be relevant to us. So we want to look at our Docker Compose file here first. So let's go docker-compose.yaml. This is our main one here. So all we're doing here is setting up a very basic Docker Compose file to deploy Frigate. It is going to be setting our camera streams to our ZFS pool at tank camera_streams. It's using YOLO model YOLO v7-320. We have RTSP, or sorry, go to RTC, a lot of acronyms in this, that are going to be handling some other aspects within Frigate that we're going to be getting into there. And then we also have our NVIDIA and GPU here that is going to be handling a lot of that object detection and offloading a lot of stuff from that CPU. So let's actually go through here and see our generate config. Oh, actually, let's see. So if we cat and generate config underscore sh, so let's scroll to the top of this and see what we actually have. So all this is doing is it is giving you your config directory, the directory it's going to create. You give it its number of cameras that you want it to actually stream, and that is going to correlate with the number of streams that you created on our simulator, so 5 in this case. Then it is going to ask you if you're using CPU or GPU, what kind of model that you want to use, and it will start that amount of camera streams there, and then all you need to do is down and up your container, and you should be able to actually go into Frigate and see all of those streams. So let's actually do this here, and we'll do our bash generate config-h. So again, ask us 1 to 100, and let's start off with 5. So there we go, CPU or GPU. So let's do GPU. And then it's going to ask us for our YOLO model for detection. So let's just do 1 here, and we can see that that's been created. So now we just need to down and up the container. So docker compose down and docker compose up -d, so it detaches, and we'll just wait a moment for that to stop, then start up again, and then we'll go into our instance on our Chrome browser here and see what we're dealing with. So wait a second on that. Removed, created, and started. Now let's take a look at our Docker PS, make sure everything's healthy, looking good. So we can see the health is starting right now. Let's do a Docker PS again. There we go, now it's healthy. Let's go on over to Frigate here and reload that. So you can see we have a few camera streams and they're looking good. They're all detecting. Let's see, we have a few things that were detected here. Now let's go into our review, and been trialing this out for all week here, so especially the last day or so. So we have quite a few models within here, quite a few snapshots. Now 5 models or 5 cameras, that's really nothing. So let's actually boom this up a little bit, and there's a lot of trial and error between starting out with the 5 cameras, getting all the scripts and everything working, but found out the sweet spot, at least with this setup, is right around 50 cameras, but I can say 50, I can say 100 cameras. Let's actually get up to that. So what we're going to do is go back over to our simulator, and we are going to stop the streams using the other script that I created, and that's going to be our stop cams, which just runs a pkill for any of the FFmpeg streams that we have. So stopping all of those, then we're going to do our bash start cams again here, and let's do 50, and it's going to start those up. Now, being that it's going through each one of these, starting a high and a low res, it's going to take a moment there, so let's actually go through, and, well, not let go through, let's wait a moment there. We can speed through this, whatever we need to. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I feel like Network Chuck after saying that. Love Network Chuck. Love his coffee, by the way. Let's see now. So we're at 26, 27. So like I said, we're going to be here for a while.
What day is it? What year?
Blame ChatGPT because of why this is so slow, not me. But once we get into this, so 36, 37, and our lovely video creator, editor, man of many talents, Joe, will definitely cut all of my blabbering and everything out of this.
No.
There we go. So we have 50 going right now. Let's actually take a look here, and we're going to generate our bash config, which I never showed when we did our 5. So why not show it now when it's absolutely full of 50 camera feeds? So we're going to do our bash again. We're going to choose 50, and we're going to do GPU. We're going to do 1, and those are connected. So now we're going to do our Docker Compose down and our Docker Compose up. Boom. So that should take just a second there. Actually, one thing I should mention as well that I said I was going to do in the last video, took a screen recording of it beforehand of just CPU, no GPU, no nothing for the decoding, for the AI detection. Frigate themselves on the documentation says not to do this. It's only good for testing, but I wanted to try it anyways. There are tools that you can use for purely CPU-based detection, decoding, whatever. OpenVivo is, I believe, what it's called. But yeah, I got to about 5 streams. It seemed all right. 10 streams, it was crashing. It was not a good time. But we'll throw that in after the fact, just a little here nor there. But let's actually look at our containers now. So we have Docker ps-a or Docker ps. We can see we're healthy now. And let's take a look at our actual config that it generated and we'll talk a little bit about that. So let me scroll up to the very tippity top of this here. So it's going to be in config/config.yaml. Now let's scroll up to the very top here. There's quite a few. Like I said, 50 camera streams. So there we go. So what it's going to do is first we have MQTT. We can enable or disable it. False is what we have it set to here, or disabled because we're not using Home Assistant or anything like that. Then we have all of our streams set up. As I mentioned, each one is going to generate a low res and high res stream. So we'll go through 50 entries of that real quick. And then we get into the meat and potatoes of everything here. So we can see that we're using our NVIDIA GPU on this in this setup here, as opposed to CPU or anything. We're going to be using detect, record. We have our camera width and height. So those are the areas that it's actually going to detect in, and tracking. So person, car, dog, cat, bicycle, etc. And then if we go all the way to the bottom here again, let's take a look and let's get up our NVIDIA and we'll do a watch on that. NVIDIA SMI, if I can spell properly. There we go. So we see we have quite a few up here and everything. Actually, they're taking up the screen, but we have some VRAM being used. We have some GPUs being pegged a little bit there, but 69%, not too bad. Let's go over to Frigate here. We can see all those streams, and they're coming up pretty crisp there. This is all live as well. As you can see, there are just a ton of detections up here up top. And one of the things here, you can see that we have down the bottom here, camera 49, high CPU usage, our NVIDIA 4060 down in the corner here, 69%. In my infinite wisdom, one thing I didn't account for was that, yeah, sure, object detection. Most people are going to have this at their office, at their house. It's going to be, viewing, somebody's walking their dog, cars driving by, FedEx, UPS, etc. But I decided to take a bunch of videos that have constant movement in them. They are 8 to 30 seconds long, constantly looping. So you can just see all of these detections up top just spamming through. And I just started this up this morning to get the object detection and everything working. So let's actually see where we're at now. This morning, probably about an hour or two ago, it was at, I think, 37,000 alerts or feeds that we can see here. So actually, let's go to Explore. So yeah, we can see 40,000 tracked objects that relate to person, 17,000 for car, 1,000 just under for bicycle here. So I mean, there is quite a lot going on this. I think this would be able to do 75, even 100 camera streams pretty easily under normal circumstances. I mean, I have a video. Why did I take a video of like 2,000 sheep grazing in a field? Like, if this thing was sentient, it would hunt me down. Like, anyways, it's not great. Like, this thing is not. That's why CPU detection didn't work, because one of the streams on this, it just automatically was like, no, you're not doing this. But anyways, besides that rant, let's go in and we'll actually take a look at a few things here. So it takes a second there, and this is where I was kind of talking, where 50 was kind of the sweet spot. So we can see here that we have our camera streams. Now, mind you, we're in the lab here, so not on real powerful rig or anything like that. So actually using our browser, takes up a little bit of RAM, whole system here, but regardless, let's take a look and look at some here. So we can see all of our streams there. We can see they're pretty plain here, but let's look at the history. And we can see here, so we can see our videos here, any past objects that have been detected, and we can go back to live here pretty quickly. So yeah, super easy. And you can notice there's a little bit of a downturn in quality during the live. That's intended. That's that low res stream that I was talking about there. Now, let's go back and we can kind of take a look at not just our output here from NVIDIA SMI. Let's actually look at our top output. So we have 50 streams going. I guess technically, would you count it as 100 because it is doing 2? I don't know. But what we have here is 128 gigs of memory. I have 14 gigs free, but we have about 30 that are cached at the moment. Our CPU, only 11% being used, which is pretty good, especially since we wanted to offload a lot of that to the GPU, and then 62% idle. Now, one other thing I should mention, because yeah, we can go to a GPU, but not everybody has the money to, invest in a great GPU, anything like that. You can use a Coral TPU, which is highly recommended. I used one in my own home lab. I was actually going to, or did, take it in here, so we could plug it in the system, see how it actually works and everything. Again, in my infinite wisdom, I just threw this in my work bag, didn't think about it for 2-3 days, something got jumbled, and now it is just anytime I plug it into any piece of hardware, any PCIe slot, it will cause a system just not be able to turn on. So yeah, 25 bucks, and I now have something that can grief anybody at the office, plug it into their server, money well spent in my book. But maybe in a future video, we'll get another one here in the shop here and see what we can do with it. But that's the story on that and why we're not using a Coral TPU today. Now, with everything we've kind of looked at today, we can see that our system can pretty easily handle, 50 streams, high, low res, 30 frames a second. I mean, it's chugging along, it's doing really well, but I went down a rabbit hole with this. So there is a lot of things that I don't understand about it, a lot of things that I'm just starting. I came in this thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to learn a little bit about it, about Tensor, about GPU decoding, blah, blah, blah. I feel like I know even less now. So with that said, I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments saying, why did you do this? This looks like, why did you configure it this way? Very dumb. I don't disagree with you. But if you do have those comments, please throw them in the comments, because I want to know what we can do to kind of make this a little bit better, where I may have fumbled. But with that said, love to hear your comments, concerns, because like I mentioned, very tired. This was a long video, a lot of research on my part, because this is a field that I'm not very ingrained in, but it was definitely fascinating. So let me know your comments, your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to see what we have on offer, head on over to store.45homelab.com. And with that, I will see y'all in the next video. Have a good one.
She'll be back.